Hey guys, how's everyone doing? You've seen the two short clips I posted of Morgan's 066. Gonna go ahead and tear it down. I know you guys, some of you like the long videos, so whatever, we'll throw you together a long one. I'm not the best in the world at these, but you guys have figured out I'm pretty dang knowledgeable on these series of Stihl saws, or the saws built through these years. If you get me into the newer stuff that's got the M-tronics on it, I'm probably just not even gonna touch it, or you know, I'm just not gonna know as much about it. But anything up to that, I'm pretty dang knowledgeable on it, and usually don't have any trouble getting one apart, getting it to run or fixing it or whatever. But you guys know the deal. You've watched the channel long enough to know how we do things here and what we can and can't do. I have got saws that I just couldn't do anything with and just send back to the person as well. But normally on these later model Stihl saws, that's just not the case. I'll probably regret not draining the foot out of that and end up going and doing it. This saw ran really strong. It's actually the first stock 066 I've ran. And it just has gobs of torque. You can dog in on it as hard as you want, and it does not care. Remember, a short bolt goes there. Should be a bolt hid down in here. I've got a ton of video light on you guys, and I hope I don't, if I knock you out of frame, all I can say is I apologize, because I may have to lean the saw up here and there to where I can get a look and actually see what's going on. Gosh, I'm not that weak either. There it is. We got a bolt hid down in here. We might be able to get that down in there. Come out of there. And there should be one hid over here behind the handlebar. It is also a little short bolt, and our top plate should be ready to come off, or shroud, whatever you want to call it. That thing is in nice shape. Trying to decide where I want to go next. Normally on these, just to do port work on most of these pro level Stihl saws, except for the smaller ones, and I've even done it on them. You can just pull your carb off and push the intake boot and just pull the cylinder off, but in this case I think the saw could use a good cleaning. So what I'm going to do is pull the whole tank assembly off and get it down to the bare crankcases, and that'll also let me know what kind of shape the intake boot's really in, and the impulse line, and give us the ability to clean everything up good. Okay guys, I'm telling you guys the pleasure of pulling these caps out off camera. those of you who have worked on these things and have had one that's never been apart, you'll understand sometimes they're a nightmare to pull out of there. It's kind of like they've expanded over time and they just do not want to come out. But the next thing I guess we need to do is, for the third time today, pull the carburetor off of this thing. Alright guys, if this is clipped and edited a lot, I apologize. I'll do what I can, but we're going to try to pull the carburetor off for like the third time today. And I'm sure before I send this thing back to Florida, I'll pull it off again. I about know I'm going to, because I'm going to order a kit, more than likely, to go in. Uh-oh. Seems like every 5/16 socket or 8mm I have is just complete and utter garbage. That 9 times out of 10 should just pull right out. You're going to break your fuel cap loose anytime you're pulling fuel line off the carburetor, and like I said, I wished I would have pulled the fuel out of this. You're going to trigger it all the way, and then that should just slide right off. Brand new fuel line, it's not just going to slide right off. We'll have to push it off. There we go. See, that's how this is a newer, later model saw. I noticed it's got a poly flywheel, and this is designed like if your air filter gets clogged up, it richens the saw up automatically to where you don't have to do it by adjustment. I've seen some people drill a hole in it just so the diaphragm can breathe anyway, but they seem to work good as is. Then you got your ring in here. We're going to put this in our bucket down here. You can leave the other ring there, and then when we get our handle assembly unbolted, we'll just push that boot through. This is all pretty easy. Morgan, this should be the same, about the same principle as the 440 is a lot of the reason I'm doing this too. Except for I don't think the 440 has this one here. I'll have to look on mine. But next we'll get the coil off and the wiring for it. Again, I don't think any of this has been loose. Your coil bolts will 9 times out of 10 have a washer on that one. On a lot of saws, they just go ahead and put a washer on the other as well. That washer is to keep the wiring from turning. And there's dirt in that one. We gotta blow it out. If you're gonna do this stuff, I recommend the air compressor. It doesn't have to be a big one, but I used a 22-gallon 3-horse for years. That one has a washer on it as well. Still have it over in the tool shed. The one I have now is, I think it's 3.7 horse, 220 volt, 60 gallon. Gosh, wiring on it cool, it's nasty. Let's see, next we're going to get these housing bolts out. We have one here and one in the front. That one was actually a little loose. And these are going to be a fat, coarse threaded bolt. Or technically, I guess it's a screw. And we're going to spin our saw back around. We'll have one down here in the back. One here in the front. And we have the top one here. Now, of course, if you're changing your handlebar, you're going to want to take your handlebar bolts out. But in this case, well, you're going to leave it be. So what we're going to do now is push this intake boot through. Okay, should be loose. Got 2 out over there and 3 over here. Our wiring's loose. There'll be a grommet over here where you're going to want to push it through. Where this has never been apart, it may not be the easiest thing to get up out of there. And I almost guarantee this saw's never been apart. And you're going to want to get your impulse line off. And I believe that one's still fine. I'll look at it a little better later. And our wiring here. The easiest thing to do is just pull that grommet out, and then the wire and grommet and all will pop up out of a little groove here. Some saws have that groove and some don't. If it doesn't, it's just a little more aggravating to get your wiring up out of. This one's wanting to be aggravating even with it. There it is. And that's as simple as it is to remove your handle. It's the same way on 90% of Stihl Pro chainsaws, or any I've ever done. When you go back together, the first thing you're going to do is put the impulse line on, and then work this intake boot back through the hole. I've even seen some people put a string around it and squeeze it down to where it just comes right through. But on these larger saws, you can get your hand down in there and easily put the impulse on and get your boot through. I'm going to pause you guys for a minute and get this over here out of the way so I can get it cleaned up later, and we're going to inspect that impulse line a little more. But I swear I think it's just fine, and cut you back on. Okay guys, we've got that out of the way. I'm sorry if this video is a little boring. it's kind of getting late at night, and I just thought, well, I may as well just tear it down tonight. We'll pull our timing numbers tomorrow and see where everything's at. So if I seem a little slow or a little down and out, I'm just a little tired and just wanted to get this done here tonight. You guys will understand, I know. Then these mufflers, you have two little teeny tiny short bolts on the top. I don't know why they do that, but. And again, like I've said in other videos, get yourself an impact driver. It doesn't have to be a DeWalt. And our battery's gone. My other battery for these burned up, so we'll put that one on charge tonight. And this one is smaller, but it is no weaker. It's 12 volt. Wasn't really any cheaper than that one was to buy either, but that first one I'm using is going on 6 years old. One of the batteries just, I don't know, it just stopped charging. I'm expecting that one to do the same. And then the bottom of those, and a 440 or 044, 046, same way, they have a larger bolt. I think they're an M5, where all the others are M4. It could be M5 and M6. Don't quote me on any of that. And of course that muffler's cover stuck. See if my mallet break it loose. There we go. Well, she's not really ate up with carbon. Looks like that muffler could have been leaking there at one time. I don't even know that there's a need. None of my other saws have a gasket there. Saw's never been modified at all. The baffle's still stock. Still has the screen in it. Not sure what we'll do on this for a muffler mod. I'm sure we'll figure something out. Usually just kind of cut some slots on the side and open them up a little bit. And you've got two bolts in here. I think I'm going to have to go to my smaller bit. Let me pause you guys and find that. It's looking like this one's going to go in, and what's handy about these two is they have a light that comes on the front. They're bright enough. I've used them before as a dang flashlight. If I need to go out back to the tool shed to get something, those are honestly bright enough, if you know where you're going anyway, to keep you from falling and breaking your neck. There's a muffler gasket. Alright, so what I done was took our hose, blowed a bunch of dirt away. Mainly to where our bit would go down in the bolt's good. You want to make sure your bit is in all the way. You do not want to strip those. If you strip those, you're going to have a dang fit trying to cut them out. I've not done it, knock on wood, and honestly don't want to either. It would not be a fun time to have to cut one of those out. And some of your older saws, you have to have a really narrow bit to go down in, like the 024s and your 038s. 028. this bit won't fit on them. What I do, I have some Torx head screwdrivers. I'll use that screwdriver and then put an adjustable wrench on the end of it, or a pair of vice grips or something up on the handle, and pull it off that way and put them back on the same way. I've yet to find a set of T-handles in Torx in a store somewhere. And we do have a metal base gasket. Good time to go ahead and pull your cylinder bolts up out of there. And on a 066 they do use the bigger bolt, just like in the front of the muffler I showed you. Your big Husqvarnas use the same bolt in the cylinder head as well. Guys, I'm not believing what I'm seeing. As strong as this thing was, and I couldn't see a thing through the exhaust port, just like on the 440. What's weird, let's see, was it on the intake side or the exhaust side? Bottom of the cylinder, you may be able to see it, there's some transfer there. There's nothing above the exhaust port. That's nothing that would keep me from reusing this cylinder, but let's see if you'll focus. May have too much light on the dang thing. That piston's got some pretty good scoring. Didn't see it with the cylinder on because it's over here beside of the dang exhaust port. Gonna need a piston minimum, which sucks. And I think the cylinder will be fine. There's nothing, I don't think, that's just transfer off the piston. But there's nothing that I can see. I think this camera lens is dirty is a lot of the problem. Above the exhaust port, and you guys just watched the run videos of this and just seen how strong that saw was and how well it still ran. I'm even going in trying to feel and see if I feel anything above the exhaust port. I don't feel a dang thing, so cylinder is fine. Gonna need a piston wheel. Guys, let me grab a wipe and see if I can clean this lens. I may have one in my pocket. See if that helps. Yeah, it helped a little. Yeah, she scored pretty good on that side. I would not have believed that. I think a culprit was just all the carbon that's built up in there. But that carbon on top of that piston's just normal, and that's why I preach, polish your exhaust port, polish your exhaust port. You don't want to spend all the money we spend on this stuff and then have dang carbon build up and score your new stuff. Morgan, you'll probably know about this before I even get the video up and unloaded, or uploaded, so I guess this will be part one, the tear down. I'm going to go ahead and pull the clutch drum off and have a look at the seal. As cheap as seals are, and having to probably buy a piston and looking at that impulse line again, taking my time and actually inspecting it, it looks a little swelled down on the end where it goes on the saw. It would probably be okay, but it's just such a cheap part to buy. I would hate to not put it in there while we're here. Just, it's the same way with the crank seals. I'm gonna have a look and we'll see, but as of right now, we're looking at a carb kit, a piston, impulse line and seals. Shouldn't cost much at all to do this one. But I'll try to get this up when I can. You guys stay safe and have a good one.